Hi, let's do a little more work with the first declension endings. So let's remind ourselves of the first declension endings: A, AE, AE, AM, A with a macron, AE, ARUM, ES, AS, ES. And I want to use the examples that Wheelock has on page, it's on page 16 of the book. And I want to go through them explicitly because he describes them, of course, but I want to talk about how to go through them. Sentence letter A. Poeta puellae magnas rosas dant. So we have 4 words in this sentence, 5 words. Something about a poet and girls and big roses. Oh, I've made a mistake. Let's cut this out. Let's fix this right here. Now it's dot. Excuse me, dot. So a poet and girls and roses, big roses, and something's going on. I want to present you with a way to approach these sentences. In general, the subject is going to be at the beginning and the verb is going to be at the end. I encourage you to, number 1, read them all the way through in Latin. Poeta, puellae, magnas, rosas, dot. Great. Number 2, hopefully in your reading you got the verb. If you didn't, get the verb. And in this case, it's dot. Analyze the verb. Third person singular, present, indicative, active. Fantastic. And it comes from the word do or dare, but the translation doesn't matter right now. Do not get bogged down in the translation at this point. I know that seems crazy to say. I'm not worried about that right now. Dot, third person, he, she, or it. Is there anything in the nominative case that can be the subject? Let's look and see. Let me highlight the endings here. Poeta, puellae, magnas, rosas. Well, let's take a look at it. Poeta, this A, could be nominative, singular, feminine. Yep, that's about it right now. Puellae could be dative singular. It could be dative genitive singular. Or it could be nominative plural. So we've got a couple different options for puellae. In other words, puellae, if we look at it this way, could be this one, or this one. We don't know what it is right yet. That's fine. We'll stick with that. Let me undo that. And then we're going to go back to magnas, rosas. They modify each other, or magnas modifies rosas. Rosas can only be the accusative, plural. So that means it's the direct object. So if we want to put it in subject, verb, object, subject, verb, object, in other words, nominative, verb, accusative, then poeta has to go here, the verb has to go here, and the accusative has to go here. Back up a half a step. You don't have to do it this way. I'm just using this to illustrate how this all works. Now, once you've got the verb and once you've found a potential nominative, make sure they agree. In other words, if this is singular, then the verb has to be singular. Singular. Okay, double check that. So let me move this over. We'll start it out fresh because I've drawn lines, I've drawn colors. Let's start all over again. And poeta, whoops. Poeta, puellae, magnas, rosas, dot. So we've gotten to the end. Let's make sure dot is the verb. It comes from do, dare, dati, datum. I didn't leave myself enough room, that's fine. But the poet gives, there we go. Check, poet gives. Gives what? We've already identified the accusative, rosas. Gives great roses. And then we're left with puelai. Gives great roses, puelai. We don't know what to do with puelai. What are our options for puelai from the other screen? Puelai can be either A, genitive singular, and that's for possession. It could be dative singular, and that's for indirect object. And it could be nominative plural, and that's for the subject. Okay, we've already identified the subject of the sentence, and we've confirmed that being singular it agrees with a verb. It's a singular verb, it cannot have a plural subject. This one's out. So now we're left to either genitive or dative. Genitive is possession. The poet gives great roses of the girl. Not sure that makes a lot of sense. It could make sense if there were more words, but there aren't. Dative singular, indirect object. The poet gives great roses to the girl. Well, that, let's admit, that makes perfect sense. Let me give you a hint, a tip, friendly tip. I should think of a Latin word for that. When you have a verb of giving, showing, or telling, expect, anticipate, a noun in the dative case. So there's a lot of expectations as you go through these sentences, as you read them in Latin for the first time. Poeta, puelai, magnas, rosas, dot. Okay. Dot is the verb. Maybe the first word is the subject. The poet gives. Okay, that makes all sense. Oh, wait a minute. Gives. I expect a dative case. Well, here we go, and there's a candidate in puelai. And I know what magnas rosas is. That's my only option. It's the accusative. The poet gives great roses to the girl. Fantastic. Want to reiterate, there's no word for the. The poet gives, so the poet, yep, gives great roses to the girl. Yes, throw in the word the, because Latin doesn't have it. Latin will never use the word the. In English, we have to use the word the. Just the way it goes. Let's look at the second example. Puelai, nautis, rosas, rosas, poetai, dant. Okay, let's read it all the way through. Puelai, nautis, rosas, poetai, dant. Alrighty, don't know what to do with it. That's fine. What do? Run to the end of the sentence and find the verb. That's fine. Dant, there's my verb. And I've recognized, and I hope you recognize, oh, nt. That's plural. So there's some pluralness going on. Somebody, some people are daunting. I don't even need to know what daunting means, but they're doing it. Who's doing the daunting? In other words, what in this sentence is the nominative plural? Because I already know that nt is plural. Oh, well, let me race back to the beginning of the sentence. Puelai. Puelai are doing it. And consider this, puelai is the only other candidate in the sentence. Nautis is going to be either my dative plural or ablative plural. Don't know right now. Rosas has to be accusative plural. Well, there you go. I know that's my direct object. Poetai could be dative, singular, genitive singular, could be nominative plural. So let's go on, let's move forward. Dant. So I know that the girls are giving. Could be the poets are giving, but I'm going to give you another hint of why poets is likely not nominative plural. In general, the subject will in a Latin sentence will be first. So my number 1 hint is position. We'll give you the number 2 hint in just a second. The girls are giving or give roses, let's say, to the sailors. What are we going to do with poetae? Now we're stuck. Poetae, there's probably not going to be 2 indirect objects. They're giving roses to the sailors, something. Just want to give you a friendly tip from experience. When there's a choice of the genitive, the poet, the genitive is often going to be very close upon the word. It's the genitive of. The roses of the poet. I've said about a zillion times, Latin word order doesn't matter. However, there are tendencies, and there is a tendency for the genitive case to come right after a noun. So if you have a noun and there's a candidate for the genitive case right after it, go with it. Roses of the poet. The girls give the roses of the poet to the sailors. Or the poet's roses. Let's go with the third sentence. Patriae puellarum sine pecunia non valet. Read it all the way through. Patria puellarum sine pecunia non valet. Okay, don't have any sense of this? Let's go right through it. Go right to the end. What's the verb? Wallet. Somebody's walleting. Who is walleting? Don't know, but it's a singular person that ends in a T. Great. He, she, or it. Is there anything in the nominative case that can be the subject? First place I'm going to go is the very beginning of the sentence. Patria. Well, that works. The fatherland is strong. Or the country is not strong. So great. The country is not strong. Country puellarum. There's my genitive case. It goes right close behind a noun. The country of the girls country. I don't know, whatever the girls are doing, wherever they're from, their country is not strong. And then we have a prepositional phrase. Sine, well, if you look it up in the dictionary, it says sine is the ablative. It's the preposition with the ablative. And it means without money. The girl's country is not strong without money. So, what have we learned? Number 1, read it all the way through. I will never go back on that. Number 2, go straight to the end for the verb if you need help. Number 3, find the subject that agrees with the verb. And that's often going to be at the very beginning of the sentence. Like I said, I wanted to explain some of the sentences in Wheelock. Now I encourage you, of course, to review that. And if you have any questions, by all means, ask.